Heard of Q broadcast? It's taking the world by storm. People are cutting the cord to their high cable bills and moving away from streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and others for something better. Q broadcast. For just $60 a month, you'll get access to every channel you could ever want, including HBO, Cinemax, and Stars. And the best part, there are no contracts, no hidden fees, and you're free to cancel anytime. With Q Broadcast, you can enjoy streaming live TV, movies, and top series on up to 5 devices at once. Whether you're at home or on the go, Q Broadcast makes sure your entertainment is always at your fingertips. Imagine being able to watch all your favorite channels from anywhere, anytime, without any restrictions. We're talking about thousands of movies, hundreds of TV series, and a huge library of live channels, all in one place. And don't forget video on demand and pay-per-view events. Those are included at no extra cost, so you'll never miss a big event again. Now, take a second and think about your current cable bill. You're probably paying anywhere between $100 and $300 every month, locked into long-term contracts and hit with surprise rate increases. With Q Broadcast, that's a thing of the past. It's just $60 a month. No contracts, no extra fees, no hidden costs, and no price hikes. Why juggle multiple subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, and cable when Q Broadcast gives you everything you need in one convenient package? People everywhere are switching to Q Broadcast, saving money and getting more content than ever before. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description and sign up for Q Broadcast today. Just $60 a month, no contracts, no hidden fees. It's time to take control of your entertainment and start streaming smarter.
We live in a world where men are told it's harmless. It's just entertainment. But let's stop lying to ourselves. Pornography destroys. It weakens your spirit. It dulls your drive. And it robs you of what real intimacy is supposed to be. Every click is a step away from the man you're supposed to be. We can't call ourselves leaders if we are slaves to a screen.
As someone that is prior service, I know all about discipline. And discipline isn't out there, it's within your mind. Porn rewires your brain, weakens your will, wrecks all of your relationships. It doesn't just stay on a screen, it invades your marriage, your confidence, and your actual purpose. As men, if we don't learn to discipline ourselves, we'll be ruled by our impulses. Now, it is time to stand up and take control before this silent war takes more than you're willing to lose.
Real men don't hide in the shadows of shame. We step up and we protect what's ours. We fight for our wives and kids, our own hearts. Twitter isn't just an app, it's a weapon. It's a tool used to break free and start living like the man that you're meant to be. The battle's here and it starts with you. You can stop living in shame and you can break free today.
You know something is wrong, and it's time to stand up. You are listening to The John Age Show.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the Anomic Age, and I am your host, John Age. Happy to be back with you once again in the dark side of the AM. Might not be the dark side of the AM here, but it is somewhere. So thanks for tuning in. Please check out Anomic Age. That's not the right one. There we go. AnomicAge.com. Like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions. Please share those links, friends, family, loved ones, and enemies. If you're looking at the screen there, you can see the PayPal link, the Patreon link, and even the Lightning link. You can send me Satoshis if you are so inclined as well. All that and so much more is available at AnomicAge.com, so please check that out if you've not already done so. Also, you can scroll down there at the very bottom, and you can find the subscribe by email link. You can sign up for the free newsletter. You can definitely get the free iPhone app, free Android app, and so much more right there at AnomicAge.com. As you know, I've kind of been soloing this thing for the last couple weeks. There's been a whole heck of a lot going on behind the scenes, behind the proverbial curtain, if you will. But fear not, we have a guest. It's none other than Kevin Thompson, an international man of mystery and intrigue. Kevin Thompson, multiple years law enforcement, multiple years U.S. military, an extensive background in all things paranormal. And oh, yes, he's also part of the ZMA radio network. I'll put that on the screen for you right now in case you missed that too. ZMAradio.com. He's a host there. He's got his own show. He's been doing this for a time or 12 now. So so happy to have Kevin on. Before we get into that, though, I just want to say this is the Halloween edition of the show. I'll put Kevin up on the screen so we can both sort of split screen this. But yeah, this is definitely the Halloween edition of the show. I'm so happy to do a Halloween edition of the show. I don't know if you're like me out there, but you've had enough of all the politics, all the false flags, all the ops, all the nonsense. I mean, we've gone from the gamut of UFOs to weather balloons, invasions, Israel's getting bombed, southern borders wide open, trannies doing library story hour. I mean, it is scary as you can imagine out there without doing a Halloween edition of the show. So I thought I would take, I won't even say a lighter take on this thing because I want to make it a serious discussion. But at the same time, I've had it up to the gills with the political side of stuff. I've been sort of doing my due diligence lately. I know Kevin's had sort of a interest and background in this as well, where I've gone deep dive into all things Art Bell, which was kind of my first love in all radio. Really, you know, it's kind of like punk rock. It wasn't really speaking something new to me, but it was just congruent with what I was already interested in and thinking. And I went, oh my goodness, there's a whole radio show about this. I've been it's on when I'm awake at like 2 and 3 in the morning. Good night, nurse. This is the best. So I'll never match the great Art Bell nor his Ghost to Ghost edition, but we'll do the Anomic Age edition of that this evening. So thank you so much, Kevin, for being with us today. I sent you the graphic last night, Ghost Age, title of tonight's episode, and definitely the nice album art, courtesy of yours truly. But thank you so much, Kevin, for putting up with me and hanging out with us today.
Oh, man, thanks for having me back. And yes, I love the graphic. And much like you just mentioned, John, it brings back when you and I were talking before the show. Does that not bring back just such fond memories? I remember laying in my bed and you had the warm light of the radio. Yeah, I had one of them old light up radios. You had to wait for it to warm up. And I lived literally out in the desert. and you could catch just a little bit of Art Bell until the sun went down. Remember, and you had to wait until certain weather. But yeah, it was just, man, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just such a fond, warm memory. It takes me back to, like you were saying, a much lighter time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of us grew up with Art Bell.
I hope so.
Had a
Yeah, man. I
profound-
mean, I'm right there with you. I just love that stuff, and I've always been so interested in the material. I mean, I'm rocking my Scooby-Doo shirt because I think that was kind of my first interest in all the paranormal stuff. Was like Scooby-Doo. I was like, oh my! It was like Art Bell, but like as a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a show that's into all the stuff I'm into. You know. Then I graduated up to Unsolved Mysteries and oh my goodness, the Leonard Nimoy show that I can't recall the name of right now.
Okay. Oh my gosh, John, you okay? Now you did it.
I gotta think of this.
There's
one.
a rabbit. A rabbit. Oh my God, it's gonna bother me until I get it.
In Search Of.
There it is. In
Yes.
Search Of.
In Search Of.
After
I love
You
that
Was
show.
Spock.
Even when I was a
remember that
kid, I was
show
staying
too.
up too late. I was watching In Search Of, and it would come on. I think it would come on like right after NWA wrestling. It'd be In Search Of, and then it would be the test pattern. You know, when they actually had national anthem, flag, and then it was just static for 6 hours or whatever. Yeah.
And it was time for everybody to go to bed. And
Yes.
then once you went to bed, you waited until I heard my parents' bedroom door close. And then it was time to turn on the radio, let it warm up, and listen to Art Bell.
Exactly. Yes. So true, man. I love that. And I'm just so happy
So
somebody else has got these memories, man. This is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, in Search Of, that's another fond memory. I remember it was every Sunday afternoon for us. My dad and mom would watch Wild Kingdom. Then it was In Search Of. Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah.
it was a pattern. But yeah, you're not the only one. I was a total geek. I was. But you mentioned a background in the paranormal, and that's kind of what got me started in this was those childhood experiences. You know, I always grew up having experiences as a child. I mean, two that are very, very, stick out in my mind. But it was, again, going back to Art Bell, when I discovered Art Bell, that was actually, not only was it just a comfort for me, something that I loved,
Mm-hmm.
but it was also gave me some answers. If the right guest was on, it gave me answers like, okay, I'm not the only one that's experiencing this. I'm not the only one that this is happening to, because who else can you talk to about these kinds of things? John, we're going back to the 70s, before it was a thing, before it had its own TV shows, its own series. Before Taps, made it popular, and then Zach Baggins made it marketable. So I remember Zach Baggins long before he had a TV show. But yeah, it was experiences that got me started in it. I wanted to understand what was happening to me.
Well, tell us a little about that, if you don't mind. I didn't really even realize you had that element of the ladder, so to speak.
Well, let's go way back. I'm going to start probably when I was about 12.
Yeah.
I remember I was laying in bed, and I had already turned off all the lights and everything. And this night there was no Art Bell, because I had to go to work the next day. We would, during the summer, where we lived, they had a program where you could work. We were a small farming community, and you could work out in the fields chopping cotton, and they would pay you, a little bit of money for your labors. So I had to work the next day. So, there was no Art Bell that night. And I remember hearing the sound of my keys rattling and change rattling because I had this little basket on my dresser that I kept all my stuff in. You know, like just like anybody, you know, you
Yeah.
come home and you have that whole basket that you throw everything in. Well, I heard that rattling and I thought it was my little brother. You know, back then he probably would have, I'm 7 years older, so he would have been about 4 or 5.
Mhm.
Now, so I reach back behind me and I turn on my lamp because there's a lamp right behind my head. John, no crap. This was like a solid shadow. I don't know if the listeners can imagine it, but imagine a solid shadow. It looked like it had substance, but it was completely black.
Mhm.
But its eyes, it wasn't the red eyes, it wasn't the white eyes. It was like you could see through them, like it had no eyes. I could see my wall behind it. In my sleep, in that half dream state, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I call out and I'm like, Keith, is that, you know, Keith? Because it still has its back to me and it keeps looking. And then it would go back to digging in my things and I'm still half asleep thinking it's my brother. Then it turns and it full face, full frontal
Mhm.
at me. And I'm like, holy crap, this is not my brother. Now I'm completely awake.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of smiles at me. I throw the covers over my head like, oh my God, this cannot possibly be happening.
Mhm.
I wait a few, I wait a time and then I pull the covers back down and John, it's gone.
Jeez.
So what do? I do not move. I go to sleep. But here's the weird thing. The next morning, this is a very vivid memory. I get up, I get dressed, I go to that basket. My things had been tampered with. My little wallet, I had a little plastic leather wallet, and all of my paper cash was gone.
Oh wow.
So I am literally blaming my brother still for this. I'm like, well, maybe I dreamt it. Maybe this was a dream. Maybe I just wasn't completely awake. And my brother is insisting, no, I didn't mess with it. I got my parents involved, everything. Later on throughout the years, as I was growing up, the little basket was in front of my bookshelf. As I began pulling out books, all of my paper cash, John, was in those books.
No way.
It's like it had taken my bills out of my wallet and had put it in a book and then put it back.
Mm-hmm.
And what was its purpose? I have absolutely no clue. But that's the first very vivid memory I have of, I guess you could call it a ghostly encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Until a couple of years later. Again, I was getting ready to go to sleep. I had just turned off my TV. Remember the old black and white TVs?
Yes.
I had one of those on my dresser. Now I'm all grown up, I got my own TV set, everything. And as I'm laying there, I'm getting ready to go to sleep. I start hearing these little footsteps, and it sounded like an adult. And I kind of sit up and I look and I see this shadowy figure. I know it sounds cliche, but it is what it is. Take it or leave it. This shadowy figure walking back and forth right next to that same bed. And it takes on almost a solid shape. And it was an older man. He was wearing this long coat, not a trench coat, but kind of like a long coat going halfway down his thighs. Mm-hmm. And he's wearing a hat. And he kind of takes the hat off and just kind of holds it in his hand. And he keeps looking over the bed at me.
Man.
And then he just puts his hat on and kind of just does like a little wave and walks out of my door, not through not out of my door. He didn't bother to open it. He just goes through the door. So I kind of just, okay, this has happened, before. Just take a deep breath, Kevin. This is a dream. The next morning, that would have been a Saturday night, because the next morning was Sunday. My father comes into the living room where we had our kitchen table set up, and we were going to have breakfast together before we go to church. And he's looking really distraught. He's just not looking like himself. And we kind of just dismiss it. And then that afternoon, it's like something had been bothering him all day. That afternoon, we go out to work on the car, and my dad just looks over at me and he goes, "Kevin, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Sorry for what?" He goes, "I'm sorry I've been rough on you the last couple of years."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Dad, where's this coming from?" He goes, "Well, I saw my father last night."
Wow.
And John, I've never met my grandfather. My dad's father passed away while my father was in Vietnam. I hadn't even been born yet. But he says that my father visited me last night at the front of my bed. And he sat down on the edge of the bed so realistic that I could feel his weight on the bed. And he told me to take it easy on you, that you were just being a typical teenager, just like I was. And so I just wanted to make sure that everything's okay, Kevin. And I apologize if I've been tough on you. And what do you say to that, John?
That's heavy, man. That's so crazy. But not.
Yeah, I shared with him what happened to me. And I was like, "Well, Dad, I think I saw him too. Did your dad look like this?" And I gave him the description, and he's like, "Oh my God, we got to go tell Mom." So, got my mother involved. And then, it was probably about a year later, my mom and my grandmother sat me down and said, "Well, Kevin, we got to tell you, our family tends to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and since there's no women born to us, you and your brother are going to share this gift." And here we are now.
Man, that's heavy. And I think so much of what Art Bell did is kind of, for me, it opened up a lot of those same windows as later on in my life, I guess, delving into conspiracies and stuff did, because I found other people that were interested in the same stuff, and I went, wow, I'm not alone. And I was like, oh man, there's other people that feel this way, or that have these weird happenings, like, I mean, I got to say, I never had anything quite as interesting as what you did, but the only one that I'll talk about here is, ironically enough, involves the Art Bell Coast to Coast AM, because I used to, I would listen to this on the way downtown, and then all the way from downtown in downtown Wilmington, where I grew up 30 minutes south of there, but whatever, I'd go down there to hang out and everything, so, but I would always listen to it on the way there and on the way back. And then half the time I'd stay up even later when I got home. But I mentioned this to you the other day, and it dated all of us, but I was saying I recorded it on cassette. I had my whole stereo set up on a timer so I could listen to it the next morning, if I missed it. But I remember one night I came home like I always did, and I cut on Coast to Coast on the stereo, and then I went and brushed my teeth, got ready for bed and everything. And I swear it's so cliche, but everything you always hear people say, "Oh, well, this happened." And you're like, how did you not realize that this is what was going on? But I was in there brushing my teeth in the bathroom, and all of a sudden the stereo went super loud. Nobody there but me. My parents had been asleep, just me. And I went in the bedroom. I was like, what in the world? And I just turned it back down, and it didn't click in my brain at all. I was like, well, that's weird, and it's one of those old receivers that you can see the numeric value go up or down. So you can see that it's clearly a higher volume. It's not just like on the producer end, they just messed it up, So went back to brush my teeth, did the same thing. And then I went back in there and turned it down. And then I went, oh, wow, what the devil's going on? This is weird. You know, it just took me, it took me a minute to figure out this is not normal. This has never happened before or since. I got the same receiver in the closet right there running, never had a bit of trouble with it except that one time. So again, somebody's going to chalk it up and say, oh, well, it was just a remote somewhere or the producer fouled up. I don't know. But it never happened
So
before or
what if
since,
it was-
and it was pretty darn paranormal for me. So
Well, what if it was a spirit? It's like, John, this is my story. I want you to hear it. This is about me.
It could
They're
be,
talking
yeah.
about me. Let's cut it up.
yeah, I should get my wife in on this. She's had way more on the paranormal side than me that involves kind of like what you were talking about and stuff moving. And, you know, like I don't really want to see all that, but it's very interesting
not?
nonetheless.
Why would you not?
I don't know, man. Like part of me wants to, but the other part of me doesn't necessarily want to have to deal with the interaction or have it be something more malevolent that's gonna, you know, do craziness. I don't really mind like a passing high, but I don't really want, you know, freaky stuff moving and stuff getting thrown and all the dark side of the force, if you will.
I always get tickled, you know, when it comes to proper investigations, because I've been investigating now, you know, formally.
Yeah.
My gosh, John, probably since about 94, I got the opportunity to minor in parapsychology in college.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I always get tickled because people come on an investigation, you know, they'll beg you. They'll beg you for months.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin, when you going to do another one? I want to go. And I'm like, all right, you know, I'll set something up. And then you get there, and one of two things is going to happen, and some of your listeners will understand exactly what I'm talking about. Either nothing is going to happen, and they're going to be supremely disappointed, or something will happen and they lose their crap.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, oh my God, I can't stand. Wait, you came here for this. You know, you want this is what you wanted. You know, what an insult. You know, it's like if I beg you to come to your house, John, I got to come visit. Please let me visit. You're like, well, come on over to the house. And as soon as I see you, I'm like, holy smokes, I got to go. I can't.
Yeah.
You're in their house. You're on their turf. You came to see them. And now that they're here, what are you doing?
That's so true, man. It's so true. And one thing I've noticed that I'm sure you can speak to, having checked off both of these boxes, but the people that I've talked to over the years, I won't say that tell me the most information, but it's not even odd, are people that are in law enforcement or people in the military. They will almost, without me prompting or anything, you know, we'll just get to talking like, well, you know what I saw in Iraq? We'd be on patrol and you'd see, you know, stuff that was not showing up on the FLIR, but showing up to the naked eye or vice versa. And it was just, you know, it wasn't uncommon. And I think a lot of people would be like shocked to hear that. But I think, I mean, I hate to get dark here, but people that are that close to death or that close to sort of the darker entities, and I'm talking like the two-legged regular humans, like the darker people, whether or not we're talking about, you know, prisoners or combatants on a battlefield, they kind of, I think, know up close and personal more than like the average guy that's like and I'm not throwing shade at mechanics or a construction worker, but I'm just saying, I feel like law enforcement and military have seen this sort of thing visceral, up close and personal, where the average person may not have. And they kind of have like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, paranormal, that's not a big deal because we've seen it before. We know what's up, you know?
You know, you're absolutely right. I never really thought about that, but looking at it, you're right. You know, we've kind of come to grips with death.
Yeah.
You know, and we're kind of, for a lack of better terms, kind of comfortable with it, I guess. But also, I'd like to add to that I would attribute it to awareness.
Yeah.
Because given the nature of both jobs, and I've been in both, like you said, I've been in both fields. You're so aware, or hyper vigilant, that you're always watching, always looking. Who is that? What is that? What are they doing? Why are they reaching in their pocket?
Yes.
It's that awareness, that constant awareness. And when it comes to spiritual activity, you seem to be more aware than, like you said, the average person who's just going on about their everyday life. I'm going shopping, I'm going here, I'm driving, I'm listening to the radio, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm brushing my hair, I'm doing whatever. We're always like, yeah, we're doing it, but we're also, we're watching.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, John. You care if I borrow that?
Oh, please do. By all means, man. I mean, I just sort of something I picked up on from people just talking to me over the years about stuff. And they'll tell me this stuff and it's not even a big deal. It's like, oh yeah, of course. Like, of course we've seen this, that, or the other, but I like what you said too. I think there is so much that has to do with the awareness. I mean, a buddy of mine and I talk about this all the time, and neither of which have had any kind of real training like yourselves. But I swear, man, like the average person is just not even paying attention. We'll be out and about and he'll be like, look, do you see that? I'm like, yes. Do you see that? And, we're like, and I'm trying to teach my daughter these same things. Like we went on a bike ride the other night and it was like, hey, do you see that guy at the car? And I was like, oh, shoot, you caught one. Good, man. Good job, girl. But I want everybody to have that kind of awareness. And I think the average person just doesn't. And I mean, like the technology is a whole nother realm of that now where people are just tuned out. People going to jog with the headphones and everything. I'm like, are you trying to die? Like you need all your senses to go on a jog. Like there could just be a dog, let alone a robber or something crazy,
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that. Because the world is so ugly, I don't want to hear it.
Oh, it is.
But
it sure is.
But because when it comes to spirit communication, it's some people get it audibly.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes I'll get it audibly, but it's more in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Like people will say, well, Kevin, how do you know that you're, okay, let's reframe this. You've got mediums, and people will pay a lot of money, John, to talk to a medium. Some people are ridiculous, $200 an hour.
Cheapers.
Non-refundable. Okay, that is insane. But people want to do it. But then they'll see the guy standing out on the street corner, shaking his sticks at traffic and screaming and yelling and talking to, someone that they see is not there. But they'll call him crazy. But you'll go to someone that's doing the same thing, but you'll pay him $200. So how do we know? How do we not know? And I had this argument because my first degree was in psychology with a minor in parapsychology. So when you tell me that you're hearing voices, I'm likely to believe you. But
yeah,
so,
there's a lot of crazy people that hear voices.
Yeah. So how do we know that they're not really talking to somebody that we're not aware of, or that they're having physical sensations that we're not having?
Mm-hmm.
But they really are, because their mental state is different than ours. They're wired differently than we are. Like a soldier or like a policeman, they're more aware, but they are so much more aware that they don't have that natural curtain that we throw down, and so that they are able to see or hear or experience other worlds that are right next door.
I think it does connect to the more conspiratorial, because it's almost the same stinking thing where the quote unquote powers that be know and accept all this mess is going on, but they want to put up the cloak and dagger and pablum for the average citizen, So I mean, the big people pulling the strings, they're on the liquid what the devil's the hallucinogenics, like the what is it? The microdosing.
Oh,
They're on the microdosing
yeah,
so that they can tap into this
acid
netherworld.
or
You got
psilocybin.
CERN like knowingly opening up portals. You got the Lucifer telescope. I mean, all this stuff is just in your face, but yet they're telling the average person, don't worry, it's just swamp gas. Don't worry, there's no afterlife. Yeah, we're all atheists. We don't believe in any of that stuff. Yeah. See, yeah, it's just
Well, then if you're an atheist, then why are you doing all this? What's in it for you? But a lot of mediums, they describe the communication as either they're hearing or they're experiencing, physical sensations or imagery. Whenever I do the tours, I talk about how spirits will also communicate in imagery. Like, okay, here's an example for you, John, and I want the listeners to participate in this. And if I say the word car, what did you just experience? What went through your mind?
For me, I thought of like one of my first cars, like an old 1989 Honda Civic.
Exactly. I thought of my first little blue truck.
Yeah.
But it was a different experience for both of us, but it was a meaningful experience. Mm-hmm. So a spirit may show you imagery. For example, we have a spirit on our tour. His name is James Bradley. And he was a politician in the early 1800s. Married a young girl by the name of Adeline Bibb, who was the daughter of Thomas Bibb, one of our first governors of the state of Alabama. Now, Thomas Bibb, I'm going to give you the real brief story. Thomas Bibb, the governor, gives a huge, beautiful home. And folks, look it up online. Huntsville, Alabama. Look up the Bibb House. It is gorgeous. Huge pillars. I mean, it is the perfect antebellum home. But James Bradley had a dirty little secret. He was a compulsive gambler. So he loses the house and the entire property in one hand of cards.
Jeez.
And he's humiliated by it. Whenever our mediums come in or our sensitives come in and we do a reading on the home, and when we first started initially doing our investigations on the home, this spirit doesn't want to talk about it. No, you're not going to talk about this. You're not going to bring this up. Haven't I suffered enough humiliation? And I'm thinking, where are you getting all this information? Well, I'm hearing it. Mm-hmm. Or I'm seeing it, or I'm feeling it. The mediums describe it in different ways. Okay. And then they say, well, if you want to know so much about it, ask that dirty Republican. They'll tell you all about it. Well, it has nothing to do with politics. Me, I'm an idiot. I'm not even from Alabama. I'm thinking they're talking politics. Yeah. No, it was the Huntsville Republican, the newspaper of the day, that broke the story, created a scandal, and James Bradley lost his political career. Now you take a sensitive to the location and they'll probably give you a completely different story. They describe it from Adeline's point of view. How she felt losing her home, how she felt watching all of her belongings go out of the home in an estate sale here about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's a completely different story. Why? Because Adeline is more energy, whereas James Bradley is an actual spirit. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think so.
So the mediums will have different ways of working. But how do you know they're not crazy? Because it's the validation that's important. Whereas a schizophrenic or somebody who's suffering from psychosis, it has no context. Whereas a medium is able to give you context, and that's what gives me a little bit of comfort. Either my own experiences or working with other mediums or other sensitives, it's that validation that makes it important.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I get kind of aggravated. A little bit of humor here. I get so aggravated when I watch these paranormal shows and they're showing you on camera it's some dust or a bug flying by, and they're like, "Oh my God, you see that? It's a demon." No, not everything is a ghost. Not everything is a demon. Don't flatter yourself that a demon finds you so interesting. And show me some context. Show me some validation. Show me something other than a sparkling piece of dust flying by.
Mm-hmm. I feel you on that 100%, man. I swear, sometimes it's kind of that old adage where if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Because I hear that mess all the time. If anybody even speaks of the paranormal, it's all demonic, and I'm like, I just don't buy it. I don't buy that it's all demonic. I don't buy that all the UFOs are demons. I don't buy that all the UFOs are ours. I don't buy. Anytime somebody says all, I kind of get like, no. Because at the same time, I know a lot of the UFOs are ours. Yeah, I got the blue beam stuff. But I also think there's a whole lot of this stuff that falls into a weird nebulous category that nobody knows what to think it is,
Well, yeah. Well, let's move from ghost and let's move to Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Something that actually is a little more believable. I find it hard to believe that. Well, let me rephrase that. Let me rewind. I don't see why people are so adamant that Bigfoot doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
When we're finding new species all the time, why would there not be another species out there that is intelligent enough to not have anything to do with us?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd like to be that all the time. I keep trying to figure out how I can work that into my life. How can I still live on this mortal coil and not have anything to do with the other people? That's my goal.
Yeah, they figured it out. They're more advanced than we are.
Man, that's so true.
I mean, but why not? Why could it not be possible?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that's absolute legit for sure. And I wanted to get into the UFOs too. I'm not trying to escape Bigfoot, but you talked about a comet that I honestly had not heard about. This new comet with horns on it, for Pete's sake.
Yes. I mean, oh my goodness, listeners, go NBC News, Fox News. Everybody's covering this. Let me just pull up an article right here. I find this fascinating. You mind if I just read a little bit verbatim, John? This is coming from NBC News. It says a comet with two distinct horns of gas and ice, earning it the nickname the Devil Comet, is speeding right now through the inner solar system and may be visible to the naked eye in the spring when it reaches its closest point to Earth. I mean, it is headed our way.
Wow.
Says Elliot Herman, an amateur astronomer and retired professor at the University of Arizona's, thank you, my home state, School of Sciences, captured stunning images of Comet 1-2 Pons Brooks and its devil horns using two remote telescopes in Utah.
Man.
So that is, and I'm looking at a picture of it right here on NBC News, and it is a comet with two horns growing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does. It almost looks like a goat's head.
That's wild.
That is fascinating. If we can kind of hook this up to the prophecies in the Bible, does it not say that an angel is going to grab a star and throw it towards Earth?
Yeah, I'm putting the picture on the screen right now for everybody.
And it's the devil's comet.
Man.
But in the Bible, it calls it wormwood.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It says that the comet's name is wormwood, and it's going to hit the earth and make 1/3 of the waters undrinkable and take out some of the population. And here's an interesting little fact. If we're going to get conspiratorial and talk about weird things, people, you remember Chernobyl?
Oh yeah,
You know what Chernobyl means in Russian?
I do not.
Wormwood.
Wow.
And remember it when it went. I mean, how much did it contaminate? How much water did it contaminate?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, here we are again. Everything happens in cycles.
That's so
So
true.
I'm just kind of interested to see what Devil's Comet is going to do when it gets close to us, unless we can maybe send a mining crew up there with Bruce Willis and break this thing apart before it hits Earth.
Man. Does it tell us a time when it's supposed to get here, or have I just missed that one?
No, it just says in the spring.
Okay. Jeepers.
I can look it up again.
Yeah, I got it on the screen for us. Here it says closest to the sun on April 21st, 2024. Shortly after that, June 2nd, the comet will pass closest to Earth. So sometime around June 2nd, 2024, I guess. Good grief. Well, that sounds great.
Some more stuff to look forward to.
Man. I got to ask you this one. Have you noticed, because I know other people have sort of messaged about this, have you noticed any sort of uptick in the paranormal? Other people have sort of said yes. Some people have said not so much. Is it kind of one of those things where more people are just noticing it versus is it more out there? I don't know.
Honestly, I'm going to agree with the former that you said.
Yeah,
it's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
Always been there. If you'll remember the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, they were doing this long before it was popular, and they were given lectures all throughout the 70s and 80s. They were going all the way back into the 60s. But people are just more aware of it now. There's never been a lack of it. I think what happened, let's go way, way back. Let's go back to biblical times. It was not seen as unusual back then. Every culture has got supernatural stories about interactions with ghosts and spirits and the supernatural with UFOs. Mm-hmm. People saw comets as astronomical signs or predictors of future events. The three magi who followed a triple star lineup all the way to find baby Jesus. So those things back then were not, verboten until it was. Then you had the Dark Ages, and literally people just went dark. Now we're in another phase now where we're becoming more, awake to these things and much more aware of it. And now we've got media, which hits everybody, on a planet-wide scale. And what are we doing? We're flooding them with shows, paranormal shows. Oh my God, there's an audience for it. We had to sit there and listen to radios, John, and hope to God that Leonard Nimoy was coming on in the afternoon. But now we have whole TV channels dedicated to it. So I think it's because, like you said at the beginning of the show, people are wanting an escape. We want something different. We've been so inundated with just crap and crap and crap and crap. But this, even though some people may find it scary to look at, it also offers you hope that there's something else out there other than just this. Mm-hmm. Aliens may come and destroy us, but they may not. They may take us to a better place. Heck, they may enslave us. Yes, or true. We don't know. But it's fun to sit and think about, is it not?
It is. I mean, I'll kind of dip my palate in both brushes, the paranormal and the conspiratorial here, because I feel like the United States specifically has been in our own dark age since Darwin, since the 1859 On the Origin of Species. They did everything they could to kind of shove all the religious and paranormal, because I think they go hand in hand. They shove all that in the waste bin because we got it all figured out. That's kind of like our own stupid hubris. I mean, just looking at the UFO thing, South America is kind of like I mentioned police and military in this country, where South America is like, oh, UFOs, of course, they're right there. You want to go check some out? Like they're not like this, cue the X-Files music, show the toothless guy in a tank top that's doing meth and pointing at lights, Like for other cultures, it's just the norm. But I think we have just kind of shoved all the paranormal down into some sort of waste bin. So we're like, we're kind of rehabbing that reticence to connect to it. Finally, people are like, oh, you mean we can talk about this again? Oh, okay, cool. But it's just so weird. I mean, going back to the Bible, the Bible is the most paranormal book of all time, for heaven's sakes. You got the wheel in the sky. You got Exodus. They're being led by a pillar of smoke and a pillar of fire. You got the burning bush. You got a talking snake. I mean, come on, folks. We're not coloring outside the lines too much. It's just like somehow in the last 200 years, that all just vanished, right? Like there's, you had all the sort of paranormal hoopla, Abraham Lincoln, and then early 1900s. And then it was all just sort of, okay, well, that's just all a bunch of hooey. Let's just pretend it's all us humans. It's all the humans. We've got this whole thing figured out.
Yeah, Lincoln's wife, she had mediums come to the White House.
Yes.
She foretold his assassination. Told him, don't do this. Let's not do this. You're absolutely right. Let's go back to the Bible because you're right. It boggles me, but I'm thinking about a conspiracy here. But I need to build a little bit of a foundation biblically.
Do it.
You have a religion that believes that a virgin gave birth, that this is a son of God. I'm not going to say a God, the Son of God. He walked on water. He cast out and spoke to demons. When his disciples saw him during a storm, he was walking on water. What was the first thing that they said? It's a ghost, which means it was not an uncommon belief for them back then. This very same man spoke to Lucifer, let Lucifer take him onto a high place and show him all the realms of the earth. How did they do that? Was that technology? How did Lucifer show him all the places on earth? And said, all of this is mine to give you if you'll just bow down. Then he was crucified. He died, rose again from the dead 3 days later, and then ascended into heaven and told everybody else, hey, all this stuff that I just did, you can do. But they don't want you to believe in ghosts. They don't want you to believe in no, that's demonic, that's evil, that's bad. Well, how? So now let's come into the modern day. Let's come into today, because you said something that it tickles me, because you're absolutely right. The media doesn't want you to believe this either. It's not just Christianity. It's not just the Vatican. The media doesn't want you to believe in it either. Now, they're willing to make the money on it. They want the money. So they're going to show you, the History Channel with all the ancient aliens. They're going to show you, Taps. They're going to show you Zach Baggins. They're going to show you, haunted history. We'll make the money on it, but whenever it comes to it remotely even being real, they find the worst examples ever. They'll go to the deep woods of the Appalachia and they'll find that hillbilly that's like, yeah, I saw me a Bigfoot. He's right over there, and he was about 8 foot tall, and he had sex with my sister, and now we got cousin Jeb over there. They'll find you the worst example ever. I was driving my pickup truck down I-49, and this big UFO put a light on me, and they took me up and they anal probed me. And why? Because they wanted to be ridiculous. But early on in the show, you mentioned something very key when it comes to this belief or disbelief. They don't want you to believe in it, but the higher ups do. And they're opening a gateway.
That's right.
They'll put up the statues of Vishnu, and they'll open up CERN, and they'll crank that sucker up, and they'll split those atoms, and they'll open those portals. Why? Because Dad's got to get in here somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dad's coming. Our Dad's coming. Just like Jesus at that time, he said, you know, how dare you speak of God? You're not of your father God, you're of your father Satan. I'm just saying, John.
That's absolutely right.
You know, how is it that this modern day they're so anti-Christ? You know, you can't have Christians here, you can't have God here, you can't have this, but we sure do love Christmas sales. But going back to a lighter note, let me tell you a real quick story that happened on my tour. At least I think it's funny. For the listeners, I give a haunted tour. We've been in business for about 15 years. And if you're interested in looking at it, just go to HuntsvilleGhostWalk.com. And there's this district. One of our tours is called the Twickenham Tour, and it goes through the old money districts.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking homes from the early 1800s. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood, John. I'd love for you to come see it. It is beautiful. Antebellum homes that you just would not believe. But it was the big money from Huntsville's founding. So there's this one particular house called the Spite House. And the owner built it in 1818 to spite somebody else to block their view. That's why we call it the Spite House. But it made the tour because both of them are haunted. Well, in the beginning of the tour, I act like a doofus during the tour, but I'm very astute and I watch people. I'm very aware, just like you said. And there was this older woman, and she had brought her own spirits, if you catch my drift.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks she's slick. She has this Coke can, and she has this rather large purse. And she keeps reaching in the purse, and she pulls out these little airline bottles. She pours it in the Coke can, and she's downing them. Well, the tour's 2 hours long, and she's slamming these. So the Spite House is near the end of my tour, and I'm standing up on these big, beautiful stone steps, and I'm talking about the home and the ghost that we had investigated. Well, here comes the owners of the home, and they pull up to the front drive, and they're looking, and I've got a group of about 80. And they're like, oh, well, hey, hey, everybody. And they open their trunk, and they're pulling out their groceries, and they're pulling out their first load of groceries. Well, the crowd parts to let them in, and they come up on the stairs, and they stand there with me, and they start talking about their experiences in the home. And they're very accommodating, and they're very gracious. And they're like, okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. And they go in right behind me, and they open up the front door to drop off their first load of groceries. Well, they make a terrible tactical error. They leave that door open.
Oh, jeez.
Have you ever had something happen so fast, John, that you don't know what to do? You just kind of freeze?
Of course.
You don't know what to do. This woman comes from the back of the tour and is pushing people out of the way. And she's like, I want to see this ghost. Shoots up the stairs past me. And John, she makes it to their living room and is walking around this $2 million house looking for a ghost. And they're like, oh my God. And then I see him. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And the family's like, hey, Kevin, here, take this woman back.
Mm-hmm.
So now at the beginning of the tour, I got to give them the 3 rules, and that's rule number 3. Please, for the love of God, do not go into the homes. Wait till the tour of homes in the winter.
Please.
but the life of a tour guide.
That's hilarious,
But-
man. Jeepers.
But
Well, I know we're running out of
one-
time, and I hate that because I want to
we
keep
are
talking.
Me too. I mean, we could do this all night.
But I got
But Art Bell's going to be on here shortly.
that's the truth. I want to bring it back here, and then we'll have to call it a night, I guess. But there's so much to what you said that I swear we could spend an hour unpacking this. But I think the religious and the conspiratorial and the supernatural, all this stuff just comes together. But the proverbial the powers that be, want us to pretend that the streams do not overlap. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of the rules for thee, but not for me. So it's like, okay, you dumb slaves down there, you guys just keep believing this pablum nonsense, this Darwinian evolution, K through 12 indoctrination, college university weaponization, and you keep just being a wage slave and buying into all the bollocks, get your spinning rims, be a drunk piece of trash, smoke all the weed you want, like do all the stuff, and we'll be on the other side of the curtain, you know, like contacting the other side, you know, opening the portal to hell at CERN. I mean, the Mount Graham Lucifer telescope. I mean, all this stuff is just sort of right in your face, but everybody's not seeing it. It's like that forest for the trees thing where like they're getting hit in the head with pieces of wood and people are going, I don't see any trees. What are you talking about? I don't see any. Like, I mean, I wonder if we're not coming up to some sort of grand, I don't want to like a revelation moment. Are we opening the seventh seal? Is it going to be like the end of Ghostbusters? I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not one to do much prognosticating. So what do you think?
You know, well, two things, and I'm going to be very careful because I tend to chase rabbits. But people sometimes they'll tell me, "Oh, Kevin, you watch too much TV." You're right.
Yeah,
you're right, because like you said, they do it right in your face. Folks, they never do anything without telling you that they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that they make it so ridiculous that you're not likely to believe it. Like these government programs, you know, like Project Monarch, Project Artichoke, Project Aurora, when we're going to the UFOs.
Yeah.
The project that I was involved in, Sunstreak. They admit it all. Now, then they turn around and make movies about it. How many Stranger Things fans do we have out there?
Yes, I've heard about that. Yep.
But they're really doing it. But they're telling you that they're doing it. They just make it so ridiculous that you're not going to believe it. Mm-hmm. Who would believe that they're really trying to open a portal? I don't even think they know where it's going.
I don't think so.
It could be hell. But who's behind the other side of that portal pulling their strings? The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and after. The prophecies tell us who's pulling the string. But they've drank so much of their own Kool-Aid, they just know what they're doing, but they don't know why. Am I making sense?
I think so too. Yeah, I think that's so spot on. I mean, my wife hates watching TV with me. We watched a little bit of Stranger Things, and I was just pulling out, you know, this is a real operation. They ran this in the night. You know, I'm just, she's like, John, could you just suspend disbelief for a minute? And I'm like, I'll try, even though this is all known information. Sure.
But Lucifer, if we're going to get conspiratorial and biblical at the same time, I'll chase this rabbit with you.
Please.
Going to point number 2, that's because Lucifer can't do anything without telling you that he's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Lucifer in the garden took Eve to the tree and showed her that it was good.
Yeah.
But he didn't make her do anything. He just pulled the strings and made it appealing. Wouldn't it be appealing to you to be able to open a portal into another dimension and be able to walk through again?
Yeah.
And to be able to do those things, to manipulate matter, to do all these things? Why does it sound so crazy? And
Mhm.
even Eve said, no, 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 God said we shouldn't do this. No, this is forbidden. We shouldn't do this. And Lucifer talked her into it. He told her what he was doing.
Yeah.
He's like, no, no, no. You know why you need to eat this fruit? Because God fears you. God is afraid of you, Eve.
Mhm.
Because if you ate the fruit, you would know as much as him, and then you wouldn't need him anymore. You would be as gods. Now we're back at that tree now, and Lucifer's telling us exactly the same story. It's just that he has picked out the ones that he wants. Why didn't he try this crap with Adam?
Mhm.
Why didn't he try this crap with anyone else? No, he knew who was vulnerable. And these people in power are so powerful that they consider themselves as gods, but we're missing one thing. We're missing the knowledge of the gods. And this is how we're going to do it. And Lucifer's back there saying, yeah, yeah, you'll be as gods.
Yes.
Just
Everything
open
you
that
said
gate.
now is so obvious. The road to hell paved in good intentions. If you look at Elon Musk and the singularity and everything, they're saying, oh, well, if you have vision problems, don't worry. We can put this chip in your head. You'll be able to see. If you are quadriplegic, we'll just give you a robot body. You'll be fine. Just download your soul into this machine. I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds so parallel to the Garden of Eden and that fabled story.
Yeah, but to the mundane that they don't want on the planet no more.
Yeah.
Oh, this is ridiculous. It's a TV show. Come on, John.
It's all
You
the Truman
silly
Show. We're not
Billy.
even real.
Yeah, you stop. It's just can't you just watch TV and just enjoy it? It's so silly. It's just a show. Some writer is sitting in his underwear, in a basement writing this out on his laptop, and MGM paid him a couple grand for it. Can't you just enjoy it for a minute and just leave us alone? We're just going to, we want to stay in stasis,
I know. I try, but it's hard.
because we see it for what it is.
That's the problem, I tell you.
The paranormal has always been with us. Ghosts have always, why are they here? We don't know.
Nope.
We don't know. Here's a final thought. I can't help this. Oh, you did this, John. You got me started. You got me cranked up. People are like, why are ghosts here? I'm like, I don't know. Well, is it because they have unfinished business? Don't know. But here's a theory. Since we've talked about the Bible, and I end my tours with this one, give them a parting thought, because I like to leave people thinking. The Bible says, those who are asleep in Christ shall rise first. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's not what that means. It doesn't mean that they're asleep. It means, well, no. I think God's very literal. Those who are asleep in Christ shall rise first. So if they're asleep, John, are they dreaming? And is that maybe what we're encountering when we encounter a haunt? Is their dream self? Because where do you go when you dream, John?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's weird.
Have you ever dreamt that you have physically exerted yourself and then you wake up tired?
Yes, of course.
Or let's get a little risque, since it's almost 7 at my time. We can, it's after hours. Have you ever had an erotic dream and you wake up with physical manifestations?
I don't think so.
Well, but something happened
Yes,
to you
I feel you.
spiritually that had an effect on your body,
Mhm.
which our senses in the waking world tell us that that's real.
That's
If
right.
I can feel this table or feel this microphone, or I'm hearing your voice, I'm seeing you, I'm having an experience. So is that us in a different plane? And if they're asleep in Christ, or if they are in a different dimension and seeing us, are we not interacting?
That's so true.
So those who are, that's what we're seeing. And that's what they're trying to break through to, is something that we experience all the time, but they wanted to be here in the present, in the waking world now.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are asleep in Christ shall rise first. So my question to the listeners is, If they're asleep, are they dreaming? And is that what we're experiencing? When we dream, are they seeing us as the haunt?
I think that could be legit. Yeah. I mean, there's so much to unpack, and I swear we got to have a second edition of this. But when you were saying that, I couldn't help but think of Wes Craven, writer of Nightmare on Elm Street and so many others. But he said when he was writing Nightmare on Elm Street, he got that from an actual newspaper article in the 70s where it was somebody that was having physical manifestations of what they were having in the dream. So it was like scratches. It was all kinds of stuff. And I think even death was kind of like that final piece of that puzzle. But I think it's the same thing we talked about. There's so much congruency and even a little bit of overlap between the living, the dead, this dimension, the other, and they don't want us to feel or know that. They just want us to think this is all it is. It's this physical table and that wall over there. That's it, man. It's a lot more.
Yeah. Oh, we do need to do a part two, John. I love being on with you.
Me too, man. Me too. Well, before I put my foot in my mouth here, how can everybody follow you and check out your show? And please plug your show as well. I know you're on ZMA Radio, so.
I'm actually getting ready to go live. I hope. I'm actually getting ready to go live in January on ZMA Radio or ZMAradio.com. My name of my show is Weighing In, but there's a couple of different ways you can actually get in touch with me. I plugged our website for our tour. You can also reach out to me on that. HuntsvilleGhostWalk.com. Just look for me and you'll see my rather dapper picture as one of the guides and owners. And I'd like to get the listeners kind of involved in that. We do download photos, we download audio on occasion, and I'd like to get everybody's take on that. You can find me on Facebook, Kevin Thompson. I like to keep it simple. And here's what you'll be looking for. But ssprs@yahoo.com is my email. And so there's several different ways you can get in touch with me, but I do love to interact and engage with the listeners. Just give me a little bit of time. If I don't hit you up right away, I will get to you because our lives are crazy, aren't they, John?
They are. It's always fun, man. I swear. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for being with us. And I always neglect to do this. So I want to say shout out to Jeremy and to Jay, who've been pretty active there in the chats. And check out ThirdDayWarriors.com for Jay and Jeremy, both sort of involved in that. But I always forget to do that. So please check those fellows out as well. And thank you so much, Kevin. We got to talk more often and do this again. I know I say that quite often, but we got to. I swear, this is a fun show. More fun than I've had in a long time on this thing. So
I love it. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you in about 30 seconds here offline if that works for you.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, folks, in case you missed any of that. Oh, come on now. This is where the producer comes in, right? In case you missed any of that, please check out anomicage.com. I say that often, but probably not enough. PayPal.me/anomicage, Patreon.com/anomicage as well. If you like this show, it's free for you, but not free for me. I guarantee it. I get a bill every month. So if you like this show and just want to become a contributor, please do so. You can become a one-time donator. You can become a patron and make it so much easier. PayPal.me/anomicage, Patreon.com/anomicage as well. This puts a death nail in the Ghost Age edition, the Halloween episode of this show. It's in the wraps, folks. I hate to say it. Have a wonderful Halloween. Have a happy Halloween. Go out there, be safe. Just enjoy some spooky trick-or-treating, if you will. Put some fun stuff in the yard. That's what I'm doing. I'm excited about it. So do all that, and I will see you sooner than later in the Anomic Age. Remember, you can't do everything, but you can do something. See you soon.
Thank you for listening to The Anomic Age, a John Age project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to anomicage.com. That's ANOMICAGE.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to The Anomic Age.